We have a really awesome doctor here, Dr. Fahmi Farah, cardiologist and CEO of Bentley Heart. She's also the director for Global Health Alliance Foundation right here. She's based right here in DFW, which is fantastic. Thank you for joining me on the Chris Crock Show tonight on WBAP.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, and thanks again. So, okay, I got so many things to say. I might as well just jump right into it and ask you your thoughts immediately. Okay, ambulance. I just read this afternoon. I'm like, whoa. The timing, ambulance, 4 minutes. Everybody's raving about how awesome the NFL was with their reaction to this. It took 4 minutes after the hit before they were actually on the field. And then second of all, he was taken off the field in the ambulance 19 minutes afterwards. And I'm like, what the what? So I think about that, and we hear that time is everything in saving people's lives. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, I do believe that the team acted in a very excellent manner in terms of timing, especially when it comes to CPR. When it comes to cardiac arrest, timing is everything. And the most important part of that timing is actually when the CPR begins. And the team did a very, very great job of starting CPR within seconds of its collapse. And I think that made all the difference here. And the reason I say that is because out of hospital cardiac arrest, statistically speaking, the survival rate of those are extremely rare.
Wow.
And the fact that they were able to bring him back and the fact that he still has a pulse and they were able to take him to the hospital alive, that's a big deal.
Okay, so the timing doesn't bother you about like 4 minutes before the ambulance came out and then taken off the field 19 minutes afterwards. That's irrelevant to you based on the fact that the doctors and the experts were able to get right on there. Is that what you're saying?
To some degree. I think 19 minutes, I agree. It is a little bit longer than expected. But I think it really depends on the situation. I think that they were trying to stabilize him with what they had initially because they were actually in the middle of doing CPR.
Okay.
So when you're already doing CPR, you don't want to mobilize that patient without stabilizing them first. So if they're in the midst of doing CPR, it'd be very hard to move that patient and get going because you want to at least somewhat stabilize them. I think that's what they were doing.
I see. That was maybe, I'm like, okay, maybe that's why and all that, but I wanted to ask you. So, okay, now, they said, and I know you're not an NFL expert, you're a doctor, you're an expert with cardiology, but they said it was a scary hit, one of the descriptions. And I know you're not an NFL expert, but maybe you are, but was this an abnormal hit in the NFL from what you've seen here and there over the years? From your perspective, at least as a cardiologist, that looked like an abnormal hit as far as a football play. And then why did this happen? In your opinion, based on what we saw, and if you're not sure, what have you gathered so far about why you think this happened, the cardiac arrest?
Sure. You're right. I'm not an NFL expert by any means, not a football expert. So, but as a cardiologist, I will tell you, a blow to the chest is of concern. And that's what happened. Whether that's a normal or abnormal thing, obviously it's not normal because he had a cardiac arrest. But a number of things could have happened. I will touch base on the blow to the chest first, like the hit. Whenever we have a sudden, huge hit in the chest area, that's a trauma. And that can cause a couple of things. Number one, and you've probably heard this in the news today, it can cause the heart to actually stop temporarily. Suddenly can cause the heart to stop and cause that person to collapse. That's called commotio cordis, and that could have been one of the reasons why he collapsed like that. But more than that, there's another condition called tamponade, cardiac tamponade. That happens. It can happen as a result of a sudden hit in the chest area. And we see that often in motor vehicle accidents. Like
really?
when the airbag pops and, that's a huge pressure that hits suddenly in the chest area.
Wow. And
that can cause the patient to have cardiac tamponade. So what is cardiac tamponade? So the heart sits inside a sac in all our hearts. There's a sac around our heart, and it's called pericardium. In a normal heart, there's no space in between the sac and the heart. And tamponade happens when, as a result of the blow to the chest, blood starts to leak into the heart. And if the blood is large enough, the volume, and that blood doesn't have any space to expand, and so it starts to squeeze the heart, and then the heart becomes kind of dysfunctional. It can't beat as it normally does, so it stops. And it can cause somebody to have a cardiac arrest and die, actually. We see that quite a bit in the trauma section.
I never thought of an airbag. Dang it, that's like scary as all get out. I'm thinking about my parents in their late 70s. I'm going, oh gosh. But you know what? If you see it in this case, that could be it. Is it baseball? What about baseball? I mean, can a baseball do this? And how you said it was pretty common if you get a hit to the chest somehow, right? So I mean. Kids with football, should they keep playing in your opinion? And if you were a parent, would you let your kids play? And, with baseball, I mean, we should also say no to baseball because that happens there too, I believe.
No, I'm not saying that everybody should stop playing
No,
sports.
I know you're not. I'm just asking you from a parent's, if you're a parent, I don't know if you are, but, from a parent's perspective, do you think we should really think about that now?
I'm not a parent, but I do think that there should be precautions taken. I mean, good thing is that these things are not very common, obviously. But even so, even when one case happens, I think it's worthwhile to take precautions. Like football, for example, for neurological injury prevention, they wear a helmet, which is a great idea. Just like that, I think there may be some more protective gears for the vital organs, like the heart and the lungs, like your chest cavity area. I think that's not a bad idea to have. Maybe review the protective gear that they wear and maybe think about doing that as a prevention. I
got a few more questions. Can you hold for just a few and do a few more minutes with me coming up next?
Sure.
Thank you very, very much. Dr. Fahmi Farah, cardiologist and CEO of Bentley Heart and director for Global Health Alliance Foundation, she's based right here in DFW.